Know that seeking knowledge is a religious duty for every person. There are two kinds of knowledge. One pertains to the soul, and the other to the physical body. As for knowledge of the soul, it is of two kinds. One relates to the diseases of the heart and their treatment. The other relates to belief. One should know the meaning of the testimony of faith and remove any doubt from the heart. As for knowledge of the physical body, it relates to the actions of the body and is also of two kinds. The first kind is knowledge of actions, which should be accomplished, such as knowledge of prayer, fasting, business, and other things. The other knowledge of actions is that which should be avoided, such as consuming alcohol, committing adultery, or fraud, and others. Know that it is a duty for all Muslims to seek the knowledge that they need in their worldly affairs. And because acquiring knowledge is a duty, ignorance is not an acceptable excuse for wrong actions.
Imam al-Ghazali went and he said, تعلمت العلم لغير الله فأبى العلم إلا أن يكون لله. He said, I learned knowledge for other than Allah, but knowledge refused to be other than for Allah. And so even though he might have had his niyyah was not always the best, his path, because he was a sincere seeker, his path was his purification. And so he went through great tribulation. So he gets into the court, he completely floors Nizam al-Mulk, who was an alim himself and was surrounded by ulama. And he sees him as somebody, this man is going to be very useful.
قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري فدعائي وابتهالي شاهد لي بافتقاري قد كفاني علم ربي من سؤالي واختياري فدعائي وابتهالي شاهد لي بافتقاري فلهذا السر أدعو في يساري وعساري أنا عبد صار فخري ضمن فقري واضطراري قد كفاني علم ربي.
When he was the Imam of the time, people like Ibn Khutabah al-Maqtasi, the author of Al-Mughni, who only met Shaykh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani for over a month, one of the very few last students of this Shaykh. He said, I met him only for a month and a few days, and then Shaykh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani made his way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He came into Baghdad, Ibn Qudama, and he said at that time, the central figure of ilm was Shaykh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani. So we all went to him. They asked Shaykh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani near the end of his life, what did you receive from Allah? And this is what we need to look at, is when we judge what good has come to us, we judge it in accordance to how close we are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not how far we are from Him. For many a time, an apparent bounty that we may think like wealth takes people away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They asked him and he said, I received two things. I received ilm and I received adab.
يا سريع الغوث غوثا منك يدركني سريعا يهزم العسر ويأتي بالذي أرجو جميعا يا قريبا يا مجيبا يا سميعا يا عليما قد تحققت بعجز
is what we can act upon, and that's exactly what Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu used to say, al-ilm at-taqwa. knowledge is taqwa. Taqwa is something that is usually apparent, or it has clear manifestations. It reflects on our actions and our attitudes. The point Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu was making here is that real knowledge, al-ilm al-nafi', beneficial knowledge, is that which reflects on who you are. That's why learning, according to the early scholars of Islam, is not storing information as the majority of the students of knowledge do today. Because knowledge, without being digested, without being processed and personalized, could bring about a negative effect. And that's the secret behind the companions learning 5 verses at each time, learning the knowledge therein and acting on that knowledge, and then after they have completed this, they move on to another 5 verses. That's the way they used to study Islam, and that's why they learned, and that's why they excelled. So Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu was pointing to this fact, that real knowledge is what reflects on your actions. And this is why in the field of education today, they say learning is being. Learning is being. That means if the knowledge that you learn, knowledge you acquire, if you don't process it, if you don't break it down and personalize it, and it becomes part of who you are, if it doesn't mix with your blood and your flesh, you haven't learned anything. You've just stored information. You're just like any other book on the shelf or any computer that stores so many books and data. But that's not what knowledge is all about. Knowledge is about acting. And that's the definition that the scholars give to al-huda. Al-huda wa deen al-haq. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He sent His Prophet ﷺ with al-huda and deen al-haq. Huda, the guidance, the scholars say that's beneficial knowledge that has the potential to change your behavior, to change who you are, to change your ways in acting. Wa deen al-haq is the actual acting on knowledge. So if you learn something and you don't act upon it, it doesn't change you, it doesn't make you a different person in a sense, then embrace your time, because you will be questioned about that time and you will be questioned about that knowledge. What did you do with it? That's why the Prophet ﷺ used to seek refuge in Allah every day. Every morning he would say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa'. Oh Allah, I seek your protection, I seek refuge in you from knowledge that is not beneficial. That means knowledge that will not reflect on me, knowledge that will not make me better.